Welcome to my video on complex communication systems and the evolution of sperm whales. When many people think about whales, they think about the beautiful singing of the humpback whale. However, not all whales are known for singing. Rather, sperm whales communicate in a series of clicks called codas. In a 2024 study, these codas were revealed to be more complex than initially suspected. Researchers are now working to collect even more samples of sperm whale communication and translate the data through AI and machine learning software. Understanding the evolutionary history of sperm whales and their development of a complex communication system allows further insight into the evolutionary significance of language and allows us to explore culture as a driving force of adaptation and evolution. One fundamental question is what exactly makes sperm whale communication systems so advanced? Well, sperm whales live in distinct social clans that have and use different dialects, each of which contains at least 20 unique codas. Andreas 2022 found that these codas are exchanged between individuals through a series of 2 to 40 omnidirectional clicks, though past research has uncovered around 150 distinct codas worldwide. Moreover, Sharma 2022 found that, like humans, sperm whale language appears to incorporate contextual and combinatorial structures, allowing for specific and layered levels of communicating information. This type of communication is almost unheard of outside of human language. Figure 2 demonstrates the contextual features of sperm whale language, which are shown through situation-dependent changes in rubato, the fluctuation of tempo in time and speech, and orientation, the modification or addition of clicks to known codas. In addition to including tempo and rhythm, we can conclude that sperm whale language incorporates combinatorial structures. In figure 3, we can see researchers were able to create a phonetic alphabet for sperm whales, demonstrating the rivaling complexity of sperm whale language to that of humans. Sperm whale communication can be highly accredited to their bioacoustic system. Andreas 2022 explains that sperm whales have the most advanced biological sonar system, along with the world's largest brain. This system, which can be seen in Figure 2, evolved as an echolocation sensory device, enabling them to navigate and hunt in the deep dark ocean. The spermaceti organ is in the whale's massive head, and it's composed of an oil-like substance. Andreas explains that clicks reverberate in their spermaceti organ, creating a click with a multi-pulse structure. In addition, the spermaceti organ and junk create a conical horn around 10 meters in length, which produces the sound released via the phonetic lips. Echolocation clicks are produced through consistent bursts of clicks, each around 0.4 seconds, while codas are stereotyped sequences of clicks lasting around less than 2 seconds. Sperm whales, like humans, are a perfect example of the social complexity hypothesis, positing that animals that live in highly structured and advanced social environments require complex communication systems to facilitate interactions. For example, they live in tightly knit, structured matrilineal families, and sperm whale social units raise calves communally, requiring collaboration and the need for clear communication. Moreover, the need for quick decision-making, strategizing, hunting, and socializing all require complex communication. However, the questions still remain. What is the evolutionary significance of sperm whales and the social complexity hypothesis? Why is the development of advanced language significant in sperm whales? And how does it relate to evolutionary biology? Well, Marino 2007 aimed to investigate the evolution of the large brains of Odontoceti, of which sperm whales are the largest member. She focused on encephalization along with EQ. Looking at an earlier suborder, Marino found that the ancestors of sperm whales had much smaller brains. Therefore, it is apparent that their brains adapted to be larger and more complex over time. She explains that the complexity of Odontoceti brains is extremely unusual for aquatic animals, and the development of such complexity took place millions of years after the transition from terrestrial to an aquatic environment. Marino concludes that the brains of sperm whales evolved to be more complex through lifestyle patterns, such as being socially complex and highly communicative animals. Marino 2004 goes on to say that cetacean cognition and behavioral complexity is at least on par with the closest living relatives of humans, the great apes. Mark Hawks 2007 expands on the findings of Marino 2007, explaining that culturally transmitted traits can influence fitness as much as genetically transmitted traits. Moreover, culture and genes can interact, leading to gene-culture coevolution. Therefore, culture can affect genetic makeup within a population. One very important aspect of culture is language and dialect. This is important because sperm whales appear to be dividing into sympatric vocal clans. Interestingly, Hauser 2020 found evidence that belonging to vocal clans can affect mitochondrial DNA. Mark Cox 2007 further explains that there is a distinct difference between the fitness levels of different vocal clans, indicating that communication systems are driving the evolutionary success of sperm whales. Cultural hitchhiking is a form of gene-culture coevolution, and it occurs when there is a reduction in genetic diversity due to the selection of linked cultural traits. Cultural traits driving hitchhiking should be stable across generations, affect fitness, and be hard to assimilate. Mark Cox presents evidence to support that sperm whales are undergoing cultural hitchhiking. Specifically, he presents the relatively low genetic diversity within sperm whale mitochondrial DNA as evidence of cultural hitchhiking. In addition, the fitness differences between clans furthers the argument that cultural hitchhiking is taking place. Mark Cox concludes that cultural transmission of vocal traits is acting upon sperm whale clans, demonstrating gene-culture coevolution. This phenomena is a fascinating discovery because it has been rarely observed outside of humans. Research into sperm whales explains that communication systems are a strong source of cultural evolution, with the adaptation of larger brain sizes being attributed to cultural factors, along with the evidence of cultural gene coevolution. It is clear that culture is acting as a driving evolutionary force within sperm whale populations. The extent of complexity of sperm whale communication systems is still not known. However, further research will provide insight into the importance of language and culture in evolutionary biology. Moreover, with the numerous similarities drawn between humans and sperm whales, more research into sperm whales has the potential to expand anthropological knowledge as well. Thank you so much for listening. Here is my annotated bibliography and my references. Thank you.